My friend, I want you to hear this deep in your spirit today. You are not walking through life unprotected. You are not stepping into the night alone. Long before you close your eyes, long before your body sinks into rest, Jesus has already spoken a word over you, a word of authority, a word backed by heaven itself. He has commanded his angels to stand guard over your life, not because you're perfect, not because you've earned it, but because you are his. The word declares, he shall give his angels charge over thee to keep thee in all thy ways. That means in your waking hours and in your deepest sleep. While your mind rests, heaven stays awake. While your body grows weary, the hosts of God remain alert. The enemy may try to whisper fear, but angels are stationed at every door, every window, every corner of your destiny, on assignment by Jesus himself. Tonight, as you hear these words, let faith rise in you. You are not vulnerable. You are not unguarded. You are divinely covered, the spirit, soul, and body. And the same Jesus who healed, who delivered, who spoke peace to the storm, is the one who has placed heavenly warriors around your life. When Jesus commanded his angels to guard your life, he wasn't giving a suggestion, a gentle reminder, or a symbolic phrase meant to inspire you. He was issuing a divine order backed by the authority of heaven itself. The moment you became his, the moment you entered into the covenant of salvation, you became someone heaven recognizes, someone heaven responds to, someone heaven protects. Angels were not assigned to you because you prayed perfectly or walked flawlessly. They were assigned because Jesus, the King of Kings, spoke a word over your life that cannot be cancelled, cannot be edited, and cannot be reversed. When he commands, creation listens. When he speaks, the spiritual realm moves. And when he gives angels charge over you, those angels stand at attention, fully committed to their assignment. This command is not temporary. It does not expire at sunset or fade when you're weak. It does not diminish when you feel tired, discouraged, or overwhelmed. Jesus did not say, watch over them when they're strong. He did not say, protect them when they're praying. He said, through the authority of God's word, that angels are charged to keep you in all your ways. That means all your seasons, all your conditions, all your battles, all your nights, and all your days. Whether you feel spiritual or not, whether you feel close to God or distant, his angels remain on assignment because their obedience does not depend on your emotions. Their loyalty is to his command. Every time fear tries to creep into your life, remember that angels were not placed around you to observe, they were placed to act. They are ministers of fire, messengers of God's will, warriors of light who stand in the unseen realm, carrying out the instructions spoken over you. They are not confused about their purpose. They are not uncertain about their assignment. They stand guard with clarity, precision, and unwavering determination. When darkness attempts to move near your home, these angels confront it. When danger attempts to form a plan against you, these angels dismantle it before it reaches your door. When the enemy tries to plant thoughts of fear or anxiety, these angels counter it with the presence of God that surrounds you like a shield. And this command from Jesus is personal, it is intentional, it is spoken over you as an individual, not as a general statement to humanity. Heaven knows your name, heaven knows your path, heaven knows your destiny. The angels assigned to you are not drifting from place to place hoping to find purpose. Their purpose is tied to your life. They walk with you when you leave your home. They stand by your side when you face uncertainty. They protect you from accidents you never saw, from attacks you never knew about, from spiritual battles that never reached your awareness. There are victories in your life you didn't even know you won because angels fought while you lived unaware. Jesus commanded them because he knew you would need them. He knew life would bring moments where you felt weak, scared, or unsure. He knew there would be seasons where you could not see clearly, moments where you felt surrounded by pressure or darkness. And so he made sure that you were never truly alone. He made sure that your life would never be unguarded. He made sure that heaven would always have an active presence around you. Angels do not replace him. They represent his care, his authority, and his divine protection moving on your behalf. When Jesus commands angels over your life, he is declaring that no weapon formed against you has the final word. He is declaring that your destiny is guarded. He is declaring that the unseen realm is working in your favor even when your natural eyes cannot perceive it. When you lay your head down at night and your body enters rest, the activity of heaven does not slow down. Angels do not sleep. They do not grow tired. And they do not pause their assignments because your eyes are closed. In fact, some of the greatest spiritual work that takes place on your behalf happens while you are completely unaware, deep in sleep, far from stress, far from worry, and far from the battles of day. Angels move with clarity and purpose in the quiet hours of the night, carrying out the divine instructions that Jesus himself has spoken over your life. You may not feel anything, you may not hear anything, you may not sense anything, but your lack of awareness does not affect their obedience. They function according to the command of God, not the consciousness of man. While your mind shuts down and enters its God-designed rhythm of rest, the spiritual realm becomes active with movements and assignments that align with heaven's plan for your safety, healing, and direction. There are moments when the enemy tries to sow fear, confusion, or nightmares into your sleep, hoping to disrupt your rest and weaken you for the next day. But even then, angels stand guard, blocking what the enemy tries to plant. Many of the dreams you never had were actually attacks that never reached you because angels intercepted them before they arrived. Many of the heavinesses you did not wake up with were lifted from you while you were sleeping, because angels actively minister to those who are heirs of salvation. They are not passive observers. They are active participants in the unfolding of God's protection in your life. Just because you are unconscious does not mean you are unprotected. In fact, your sleep becomes a sacred atmosphere where heaven's guardians work without interruption or resistance from your waking anxieties. While your physical body rests, your spirit remains alert, and angels often help carry burdens off your shoulders that you were never meant to wake up with. There are battles you fought in your mind during the day that angels finish during the night. There are pressures that felt heavy in the evening that feel mysteriously lighter in the morning, because angels worked through the night to release you from spiritual weight. They war against unseen forces, push back spiritual darkness, and create a boundary of peace around you. Even when you are not aware of what is happening, your room becomes a battleground of victory where God's messengers enforce his protection over your life. Angels also carry assignments of healing into your sleep. God designed rest not only for your mind and body, but also for your spirit to receive ministry without distraction. While you sleep, angels can minister peace, restoration, and strength to you in ways that would be harder for you to receive while awake and worried. Many people wake up refreshed, renewed, or suddenly comforted, not realizing that angelic presence stood by them through the night, reinforcing the promises of God and applying the peace of Christ over their hearts. Healing that the body could not initiate while awake often begins during sleep, Because angels help create an atmosphere where fear cannot enter and stress cannot disrupt the process. Angels do not simply guard. They transport, deliver, and carry out the will of God in the spiritual realm. They deliver messages of clarity into your dreams, align circumstances for your next day, and shift the atmosphere around you so that you wake up prepared for what God has ordained. They carry prayers you prayed earlier in the day and continue working on them during the night. They take concerns you laid before God and bring them before His throne while you rest. They establish protection around your home, monitor spiritual activity, and confront anything that attempts to step beyond the boundaries God has placed around your life. Your sleep is never unguarded. Your night is never empty. Heaven works while you sleep, and angels faithfully carry out divine assignments that keep you safe, preserve your purpose, and prepare you for the unfolding of God's plan in your life. God's protection over your life is not something that activates only when you are alert, praying, or paying attention. His protection is continuous, constant, and consistent because it is rooted in His nature, not in your awareness. Even in the moments when you feel disconnected, distracted, or spiritually quiet, heaven's covering over you remains fully active. God does not guard you because you are watching. He guards you because He is faithful. He does not protect you because you are aware. He protects you because He has spoken a word of covenant over your life. And that word stands whether you are fully conscious of it or not. The power of God's protection does not depend on your understanding of it. It depends on His commitment to you as His child. There are countless moments in your daily life when God shields you from things you never even noticed. You walk past dangers you never saw. You survive situations you never recognized as threats. You avoid conversations, accidents, and traps that were completely hidden from your natural mind. You think you made a simple decision, but God was guiding your steps. You think you avoided something by chance, but angels were redirecting your path. You think you just felt an urge to stay home or delay a plan, but in reality, heaven was orchestrating your safety behind the scenes. God does not need your awareness to protect you. His covering operates long before you realize a danger existed. Many people believe they must feel spiritual to be protected, but God's covering is not based on feelings. On days when you feel strong in faith, He guards you. On days when you feel weak, confused, or burdened, He still guards you. Even in moments when you feel far from God, God is not far from you. Even when your heart feels heavy or distracted, His hand remains steady over your life. He does not withdraw His protection when you feel overwhelmed. He does not reduce His care because you are tired. His shield over you does not flicker like a flame. It stands unshaken, unchanging, uninterrupted. There are nights when you fall asleep without praying, and yet God protects you. There are days when you are rushed, stressed, or frustrated, and yet God preserves you. His protection is not a reward for perfect behavior. It is a manifestation of His love. It is the expression of a father who watches over his children even when they are unaware of the danger around them. Just like a parent does not wait for a child to understand threats before guarding them, God does not wait for you to perceive what He is shielding you from. He covers you simply because you belong to Him. Even in the spiritual realm, you are protected from attacks that never reached your mind, temptations that never touched your heart, and schemes that the enemy planned but could never execute. Angels intercept threats long before they form into anything noticeable. They block spiritual arrows before they come close. They dismantle traps before you reach them. They silence voices of accusation and fear before they ever whisper into your thoughts. God's protection is not reactive, it is proactive. He sees ahead, he moves ahead, and he acts ahead. He protects you based on his foresight, not your awareness. Your life has been spared more times than you will ever know. Your mind has been protected from battles that would have overwhelmed you. Your heart has been guarded from pain that would have broken you. God shields you in ways that go far beyond your understanding. His presence surrounds you when you feel it and when you don't. His angels move on your behalf when you notice and when you are completely unaware. His covering is active at all times because his love is active at all times. God does not stop watching over you simply because you are not watching over yourself. His protection remains steady, silent, and strong, always working for your good even when your eyes cannot see. Fear begins to lose its grip the moment you realize that heaven is not passive about your life. Fear feeds on uncertainty, on the feeling that you are alone, unguarded, or vulnerable. But when the revelation settles in your heart that the God of the universe has assigned angels to watch over you, fear begins to shrink. It cannot stand in the presence of truth. It cannot dominate a mind that knows it is divinely covered. Fear thrives in the dark, but angelic protection brings light to the very places where fear tries to hide. When you know heaven is watching over you, fear loses the authority it once claimed. Many people battle fear because they think protection depends on their strength, their awareness, or their ability to control situations. They think if they miss a sign, they'll be in danger. If they are distracted, something bad might happen. If they are weak, the enemy will strike. But when you understand that angels follow the command of Jesus, not the condition of your emotions, fear cannot hold the same power. Angels are not activated by your anxiety or deactivated by your tiredness. They operate by divine instruction. They shield you because God has ordered it, not because you feel bold or confident. That truth alone begins to dismantle fear at its root. Fear also weakens when you recognize that angels are not symbolic figures. They are real spiritual beings with real assignments. They are mighty, they are focused, they are fierce against the enemy, they are committed to the word spoken over your life. When fear whispers that something could go wrong, angels stand in front of you declaring that nothing passes beyond the line God has drawn. When fear tries to convince you that you're unprotected, angels continue their watch without blinking. Their presence is not emotional, it is functional, strategic, and powerful. Fear cannot withstand that kind of certainty. During moments of confusion or stress, fear tries to exaggerate threats. It paints worst-case scenarios in the mind. It convinces you that you're exposed to danger, but fear only works when you believe it more than you believe the truth of God's protection. When you truly understand that angels are guarding your path, standing in your home, watching over your sleep, fear suddenly appears smaller and weaker. You no longer imagine danger dominating your life. Instead, you imagine heaven's warriors stationed around you. This shift in perspective is often the very thing that breaks fear's influence. Fear loses power when you realize that angelic protection is not limited to certain times of day. Day or night, awake or asleep, strong or weary angels remain alert. They do not slow down when you are tired. They do not lose focus when you are distracted. They do not step away when you are overwhelmed. Fear thrives when you think you must maintain your own safety. But when you understand that heaven carries that responsibility, anxiety loses its point of entry. You stop rehearsing negative possibilities. You stop imagining danger. You stop expecting the worst. You begin resting in the truth that God's protection surrounds you at all times. Fear also weakens when you remember that angels respond instantly to God's voice. They do not negotiate with darkness. They do not hesitate. They execute God's will with precision. When the enemy plots, angels intervene. When darkness attempts to move, angels stand like a wall of fire. When attacks form in the unseen realm, angels disrupt them before they manifest. Fear loses ground when you realize that angelic intervention often happens long before you ever notice anything was wrong. By the time fear tries to convince you you're vulnerable, heaven has already secured the victory in places you cannot see. Fear shrinks when you recognize that you are never isolated, you are surrounded, you are covered, you are backed by the authority of Jesus and guarded by the presence of angels. Fear cannot dominate a heart that knows it is protected on every side. When the revelation of angelic covering takes root in your spirit, fear loses the seat it once held in your life. It loses the ability to intimidate you, influence you, or direct your decisions. The more you meditate on God's protection, the smaller fear becomes until it has no strength left to speak. Angelic covering is not a poetic idea or a comforting thought. It is a real spiritual force that actively blocks, disrupts, and dismantles attacks aimed at your life. In both the natural and spiritual realms, angels move with authority that comes directly from God. They operate as guardians who stand between you and anything that does not align with God's will for your life. This means danger can form, but it cannot pass. Weapons can be shaped, but they cannot prosper. Plans can be crafted against you, but they cannot prevail. The presence of angels establishes a boundary that the enemy cannot cross. A divine shield that protects areas of your life that you may never even realize needed protection. In the spiritual realm, angels confront forces of darkness long before those forces ever reach your mind or emotions. They stand as warriors who fight battles you will never see. Attacks that would have overwhelmed you mentally or emotionally are intercepted in the unseen realm. The enemy may attempt to release confusion, fear, discouragement, or oppression, but angels block those spiritual arrows before they reach their target. They dismantle plots, silence demonic activity, and enforce the authority of Jesus over your life. Their presence ensures that the spiritual realm is not a place where the enemy gets the final say. Angels carry out God's will with unwavering commitment, ensuring that every word God has spoken over you is protected and preserved. In the natural realm, their covering is just as real. There are accidents you avoided because angels redirected your steps. There were moments when you hesitated or felt delayed without understanding why, only to realize later that danger was near. Angels influence timing, positioning, and circumstances to keep you safe from harm. They can cause someone to slow down, change direction, or adjust their timing simply because it aligns with your protection. You may think it was coincidence, but heaven does not operate on coincidence. Every shift, every pause, every instinct that guided you away from danger was part of an angelic assignment working for your good. Angels also create an atmosphere of protection around your home. They stand at entrances, guarding the threshold of your dwelling. They do not allow spiritual darkness to cross the boundary God has established. Many people experience peace in their homes without realizing that angels are stationed there, keeping out influences that would disturb their rest. The enemy may attempt to bring fear, tension, or heaviness into your environment, but angels hold their position like sentries on a wall, refusing to allow anything unclean to pass through. This covering produces peace that feels unexplainable, calm that appears supernatural, and clarity that cannot be disturbed by outside forces. The angelic covering also surrounds your mind. When the enemy tries to plant negative thoughts, lies, or mental attacks, angels resist those intrusions. They stand guard over your mental space, pushing back whispers of fear and discouragement. You may feel a sudden shift in your thoughts, a clearing of mental fog, or a quieting of inner turmoil. That is often the result of angelic intervention. They minister peace, reinforce truth, and create a spiritual shield around your emotions. This protection helps you stay stable in seasons when others would collapse under pressure. Another aspect of this covering is the way angels guard your destiny. The enemy seeks to derail purpose, distract your focus, and delay your progress. Angels, however, ensure that your path remains aligned with God's plan. They clear obstacles that were meant to sabotage your future. They close doors that would have led you into harm. They open pathways that lead toward growth, favor, and divine direction. They fight spiritual resistance that forms against your calling. Their involvement ensures that your destiny is not left vulnerable to the schemes of darkness. Angelic covering is a constant force surrounding your life, working in silence, strength, and supernatural authority. They do not protect you based on your awareness or perfection. They protect you because God commanded it. They stand between you and every form of attack, making sure that what God has ordained for your life remains untouchable by the enemy. Rest becomes powerful when you trust God's supernatural protection, because true rest is not just the absence of activity, it is the presence of confidence. When you lie down in peace knowing that heaven is actively watching over you, your sleep becomes more than physical recovery. It becomes spiritual alignment. Many people go to bed exhausted yet still wake up tired because their minds never rested. Worry stayed awake. Fear stayed awake. Anxiety stayed awake. But when trust rises in your heart, when you truly believe that God has commanded angels to guard you, your rest deepens into something transformative. You stop carrying the weight of the day into the night. You stop trying to protect yourself with your own strength. You release control and settle into the safety of God's covering. Rest becomes powerful when you understand that sleep is not a vulnerable state, but a protected one. The enemy wants people to believe that nighttime is when they are most vulnerable, but the Word of God reveals the opposite. God designed sleep to be a place of renewal, restoration, and spiritual strengthening. While your body is still, heaven is active. Angels do not need your attention to guard you. They do not need your awareness to fulfill their assignment. They operate just as strongly in the quiet of the night as they do in the activity of the day. Knowing this shifts your perspective. You no longer approach sleep with fear or uneasiness. You approach it with peace, trusting that God has surrounded you with His supernatural forces. When trust replaces fear, your rest becomes a spiritual weapon. The enemy hates when believers rest in God because rest is a declaration of faith. Rest says, I am not in danger. Rest says, I am not abandoned. Rest says, God is in control. When your heart adopts this posture, you rob the enemy of his ability to torment your mind at night. Nighttime anxiety, sudden fear, or restless thoughts lose their influence because your spirit knows it is guarded. Angelic presence around you silences the disturbances the enemy tries to send into your sleep. This allows your body to enter deeper restorative cycles, your mind to quiet, and your spirit to recharge in the peace of God. Powerful rest also means waking up renewed in ways that cannot be explained naturally. There are nights when you go to bed feeling drained, discouraged, or emotionally heavy, yet you wake up with unexpected strength. That is not random, that is spiritual. Angels minister to your heart while you sleep, releasing peace where there was pressure, clarity where there was confusion, and strength where there was weakness. They guard your dreams. They influence the atmosphere of your room. They keep away thoughts or impressions that would disturb your spirit. Watch your prayers begin during the day. Angels continue during the night. Rest becomes powerful because it is the environment where God does some of His greatest work within you. Your thoughts are quiet, your body is still, your attention is not divided, and your defenses are lowered, not in vulnerability, but in surrender. In that place, God can touch areas of your heart that were too full of noise during the day. He can bring healing to emotions that you did not have the strength to address. He can bring order to thoughts that felt scattered. He can bring revelation, guidance, or reassurance through dreams or inner impressions. Angels assist this process by maintaining a peaceful spiritual atmosphere where the presence of God can move freely. When you trust God's protection, rest becomes a prophetic act. By sleeping peacefully, you are declaring that tomorrow is safe, that your future is secure, that your life is not under threat. You are declaring that heaven is in charge of your night and your day. This type of rest strengthens your faith, renews your mind, and restores your physical strength. It prepares you for battles you didn't know you would face and equips you with grace for assignments that await you. A rested believer is a powerful believer. A believer who sleeps under the peace of God wakes up ready to fulfill purpose, walk in clarity, and move with spiritual confidence. Rest becomes powerful when it is built on trust. Trust that angels are guarding you. Trust that God is watching over you, and trust that you are never alone in the night.